Maybe I can introduce you first.
Sure.
Okay, so this is Jessica. She's just the best. She's a well-known Montessori teacher in the United States, and we are very happy to hear what you will teach us about toilet independence. This is the question that is of great concern of a lot of parents of toddlers, of course, and we all would like to know what to do to help a child to be toilet independent, very in a Montessori way, very gentle and with no pressure, with no stress, with so. I'm very happy to be here and to know some new information. I'm eager to hear. And thank you everyone for coming. Hope it will be fun.
I think it will be fun. This is a great topic, and it is, like you said, Tanya, it's very mysterious to parents. Like, how do we do this? This is one of the most confusing and mysterious, parts of parenting young children. So let me share my screen, um, and we will get started. Here we go. Okay. So, like Tanya said, my name is Jessica Ostrov, and I am the Regional Director of Montessori Education for Endeavor Schools in Minnesota. That is in the middle and the north of the United States on the border with Canada. I've been doing this work for a long time, so let me give you an introduction. One moment. So, like I said, my name is Jessica Ostrov. This is my son Nico in these photos here. This is us at the Grand Canyon, and this is us actually visiting Israel last January in the Kinneret area, a kibbutz where I used to live when I was living in Israel back in the end of 1999, beginning of 2000s. I was living there, and my home now is in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm just trying to make sure that my picture isn't. Okay, there we go. So I live in St. Paul, Minnesota, here in the United States. I've been doing Montessori for about 25 years. I was in my previous school for about 9 years, and we had a school that served toddler all the way to junior high. My son attended that school through eighth grade, and then he went to a public high school, and now he's graduated and he is living in New Zealand at the moment, but he's coming home soon. He's doing a program for learning to be a ski instructor. And he's visited Israel twice so far and visited your school when we were there last time. So Tanya and the staff got to meet him, Nico, and uh, we'll be back in January again for our third visit since the start of the war, but I think it's maybe my ninth visit overall. Um, I got my Montessori training at the Montessori Center of Minnesota. It's an AMI center here in Minnesota. I have my degrees from University of Minnesota and Hamline University. And I've also taken the 0 to 3 training, which is an AMS training it's called Mighty is our training program. So I've done the 0 to 3 training, the 3 to 6 training, and I worked in upper elementary for 6 years and helped open the junior high. So I love working in Montessori across all of the levels. Um, Montessori is something very special about it is that she really studied the children and their development, their natural development at all of these different levels, and developed this program or this method to suit their developmental needs that are very specific to every level. I do training and professional development now for 12 schools here in Minnesota. And so we serve infants, toddlers, and the children's house level. And I've been in this job for about 4 years, and doing parent education also is one of my favorite things. And of course, I have a very strong Israel connection. I am Jewish. I consider Israel my homeland, and I just do everything I can to support Israel. And Montessori and Israel are two of my favorite things. So when I can do a presentation like this, it's very exciting because I can combine my love for Montessori with my love for Israel. So thank you so much for having me. So let's get started. We have a lot to talk about. We will briefly discuss toddler development just in general, and then how that understanding will help us support children in their toilet independence. There are five kind of topics that we'll discuss before we get into the toilet learning specifically. One is this concept of coming into consciousness. We'll talk about what all of these mean. The concept of the inner teacher, the sensitive periods, three developmental tasks for toddlers, and their desire for independence. So the toddler years are a very special time in human development. They are on their feet. Words are starting to emerge from their lips. Amazingly, they will double in age from this time or during this time from about 16 months to 33 months. Coming into consciousness means that toddlers are developing a sense of awareness of themselves and their part in the community in which they spend time. So when they first join the toddler community or they're about 16 months, they really aren't conscious of the needs of other people or the needs of the community, and it slowly starts to come into focus for them. As you can see here, this young toddler, she's pouring drinks for her toddler friends at school. And that takes a certain level of care and awareness of her community that she's living in. But it takes a little time to get there. When we talk about the inner teacher, Dr. Montessori recognized that every human is born with an inner teacher that drives their development, their curiosity, and their desire to learn. So children can teach themselves so many things simply by having the opportunity to do so. And that's especially important for toilet learning because we can give them access or we don't give them access, and that will affect their success in this process. So we want to make sure they have the opportunity. That's the first thing. We think about the sensitive periods. So sensitive periods are just the windows of time where the acquisition of a specific skill happens more readily and joyfully. We see that in walking, right? You remember when your toddler was just starting to walk and pretty soon you couldn't get them to sit down because they wanted to walk all over the place. They had this explosion of walking. And then talking, when the words finally start coming, they will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. When they get a little bit older, this happens with reading. Suddenly they're reading everything around you, and writing. They start writing stories and making books, and they do a lot of reading and writing. But this idea of a sensitive period also happens with toileting. And the research supports this, and working within these opportunities, it's beneficial for the child and the adults. That doesn't mean that toilet learning cannot happen outside of this window, but it's the easiest and most readily available and joyful when you can recognize the sensitive period and start within that. So toddlers are working through three big tasks. There are three big tasks of development: adaptation to their time and place. We'll talk more about each of these, their language development, and their motor skills. So adaptation means becoming part of their community, how to show kindness, how to do the things that we do in life, how to enjoy things, what we enjoy or what we're frustrated by. Essentially, they're constructing themselves to be a member of society in all the ways. They're becoming a human of their time and place. The language that they're speaking, the music that they enjoy, the food that tastes good to them, all of that is happening during this time. So their absorbent mind takes in everything, all the aspects of culture, and becomes part of who they are. The next is language development. So communication is a huge part of culture. When we can help by providing a language-rich environment, that means lots of stories, songs, books. I know they're so good at that at Mayak, Montessori. They do a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, and they give real language to the experiences through their conversations with toddlers. So as parents, a great opportunity to give them a lot of language development is talking to toddlers about what they're seeing when they're in the car or when they're walking outside. It's sometimes people want to give their children like an iPad or a phone to look at. I ask you to please just allow them to look out the window and explore the world around them through their eyes and give them language to what they're seeing. It will really help with their language development, spoken language, but then also reading and writing later. And then the motor skills. So they are building balance, equilibrium, strength, and this can be harrowing. Like this is frightening for parents because they want to climb on everything and we're very, very nervous. So we want to supervise them and safely say yes and be close by. We want to give them those opportunities to build their muscles and their strength and their sense of balance. Proprioception is the sense of where the body is in space. So this child over on the bridge, she might put her back foot down. She doesn't have to look. She is feeling with her foot where her body is in space and where that rung might be with her foot. So independence, and we can see toddlers exhibit an intense desire to do what they see the adults in their lives doing, some of which adults may regard as chores, like cleaning up, preparing food, caring for pets and plants, gardening, etc. These tasks are joyful for the toddler and have endless developmental benefits. All three buckets, right? Adaptation, language, and motor skills are filled when we provide these opportunities for toddlers. We want to always say yes when they want to help whenever we can. It might take a little longer, it might be a messier process, but they must be allowed to help and be part of the family community and the school community and the larger community. That is part of their adaptation. So unless there are barriers, meaning a medical delay or something of the sort, children will learn to walk and talk on their own timeline. We really can't stop this from happening. By not allowing them by giving them too many screens or not allowing them real interactions with their environment, we can slow down that process, but it will happen eventually. However, independence is different. We have a choice when it comes to independence. We can either create the conditions that allow it from a young age, or we can withhold the opportunities, and that holds children back from development. So in the beginning, we talked about access to independent opportunities, giving them time to do things for themselves, and giving them child-sized furniture and, ability to get their own clothes and things like that. So we really focus more specifically in the toddler years on functional independence. So take a moment to observe the joy that they find in pouring themselves something to drink, dressing themselves, washing hands and faces, brushing teeth, caring for their hair. And at this age is the ultimate care of self is toilet independence. We have a short video. Hopefully it'll play with the sound. Tanya and her staff have seen this, but it shows the independence and the strong will of a toddler to do things for themselves.
Why about yourself? Why about yourself?
Can I help?
No. I help. I don't. You can help when we're out to eat, okay? You can help when we are out to eat.
Okay.
Do you have this seeds?
Probably. You want me to help, Rose?
No. Thank you. No, thank you.
What do you want me to do?
What about yourself? What about yourself? I'll do this one, so gonna do that. You drive! What about yourself? Go drive! Go!
Oh, whoopsie, I stopped sharing. One moment. Let me get back to sharing. Yeah, she just really wants to do it herself and she knows how to do it. And one moment. Let me get the presentation back. Here we go. So we want to say yes when we get the chance as much as possible. Let's see. So there are a lot of reasons why we unintentionally hold back on independence for children from a young age. First of all, we love them, right? We want to do things for those that we love. We want to make life easier for them. But we can recognize that by not allowing them and not expecting children to do things for themselves, we're actually taking something away from them. We're taking away the opportunity to develop dignity and a sense of self. But we also want to recognize that we want peace in the house, right? In Hebrew, we call it shalom bayit. We want peace in the house. So we often avoid struggle with our children, and this is natural. We are with them less than we want due to work and schedules, etc. So we want the time with them to be peaceful. And this is especially true right now in times of war that affects every area of our lives. So we want to make sure that we recognize that we want to be graceful and peaceful with ourselves, but we also want to see if we can involve them in their own caregiving and their development as much as possible to keep the consistency and to continue their development in a healthy manner and try not to let that be impacted by the war that we're living through. But it's real. That's reality. So we want to acknowledge all of those pieces. And we want to note that children may face barriers to toileting that are connected to a learning or developmental barrier. So being mindful of this is important. We want to still offer opportunities and be very gentle with the child and yourself when things seem to be moving more slowly. Remember, this is a natural process that cannot be rushed or forced. So we'll talk more about that later in the presentation. Okay, so now let's use everything that we've learned about toddler development and apply it to toilet learning. So remember, this is not a race, it's a natural part of development. We want to trust the child, follow their rhythms, and prepare the environment in a way that allows uninhibited access. Again, I'm talking about that for a third time now. The access is very, very important. They can't do this if we don't allow them access to potties and toilets and the opportunity. So some early tips before they're even a toddler, when they're still a baby or an infant, right? Show them what is in their diaper when you're changing them as infants. We want to create a connection between what they feel like and what's happening in the diaper. You know, sometimes we want to distract them, play with them, put a mobile or toys, and distracting them while we're changing them. But that's creating a disconnect between what's happening with their body and what the adult is doing with them at the time. So we want to connect them to what's happening by being face to face and fully integrating them into the process. So allow them to sit on the potty after they've cleaned up. Their sphincter is more relaxed at this time. So, and they could have what we call a surprise pee. They might be surprised that some pee-pee comes out. Also, when they get able to stand on their own, we want to do standing changes. So when we lay them down to change them, after they're able to stand, this is unnecessarily infantilizing them, right? So we're treating them like babies when they're not babies anymore. So this, in this lower corner, she's doing a standing change. Once they're able to stand, see how that toddler is watching what's happening. She's very connected with what's happening with her body. There's not a disconnect. So providing a simple, accessible potty chair in the bathroom by the time they're able to stand, or even before, having it in the bathroom and making it just part of the, these are things in the bathroom. That's really a smart idea so that they get used to the fact that there's a potty that is their size, and allow the child to see you using the toilet as a natural, regular part of the human process. I promise you won't get arrested. There's nothing weird or, you know, not good about letting them see you use the bathroom. They really need to be able to see that this is just part of what we do as human beings. But having a potty chair in there from the beginning, or at least as soon as they're able to stand, will really help normalize that this is part of the bathroom and this is what we do in the bathroom. So timing is everything. People ask me, when do we start? This might come as a surprise, but as soon as children can walk, they have control over their lower half. This is the start of the window. So before the invention of disposable diapers, which give their body a misleading sensorial message, it gives them misleading sensorial information, and we'll talk more about that. Toddlers were toilet independent by 16 to 18 months. And this was the norm simply because children felt the wetness immediately, which feels unpleasant. The adults saw that the child was wet more quickly and changed them right away. And we're going to talk about this. Here's a timeline of diapers and how it's affected toileting, our toileting timeline. So in the early 1600s, was the cloth diaper era. People still use cloth diapers, which is really a very positive thing to do, but they didn't have a choice back in the early 1900s. So those diapers were bulky, hard to wash. So that encouraged toilet learning to happen before 1 year. By 18 months, many children were expected to be diaper free. So we know from history that this is possible. We know that this is natural. The 1950s to 1960s were when the introduction of disposable diapers. So the first disposable diapers, the first commercial disposable diapers, appeared in the United States and Europe in the 50s and 60s. So this isn't that long ago, right? This really isn't that long ago. They were expensive, but they were convenient. So that started shifting the cultural norms, and parents could wait longer to do toilet independence with them. In the 70s and 80s, this is when it was mass adopted. Like most people in Western cultures were able to have disposable diapers. I shouldn't say Western cultures. I just mean more developed that had more financial resources because the diapers were becoming more affordable and mainstream. And so immediately toilet training was delayed. The average age rose to about 2.5 to 3 years in the United States. And then in the 90s and 2000s, it was just everywhere. So in most high income countries, disposable diapers are the norm. This is the age of pull-ups and convenience culture. And so now here we are with the average age of full daytime toilet independence. If you're using cloth diapers or if you're in a low resource setting, it's about 18 months. The disposable heavy settings like the US, Europe, Israel, it's 30 to 36 months. And that's twice as long as we know is possible with children. And we know is really developmentally appropriate to do it earlier than wait so long. So you might be wondering, how do I know when my child is ready? The child is staying dry for longer periods. They are interested in what you're doing when you're using the bathroom. They're curious about the potty chair. They may tell you that they have gone in their pants, or they might start hiding when they're going to the bathroom in their pants. So early on, they pee very small amounts more frequently. So we can notice and go to the bathroom before it becomes a big mess. But don't be afraid of big messes. As caregivers, we sign up for this. We sign up to come in contact with urine, BMs, vomit, blood, saliva, mucus. This is all part of caring for young children. And so the infant and young toddler time is when they're curious and often agreeable to trying new things. So it's best to start the younger you can, because you want to start before they enter what's called the age of opposition, when it's natural for the child to say no to just about everything. They're trying to find some semblance of control in their lives, and there's very little that young children are in control of for their lives. So they want to say no to everything and see what they can actually have some control over. But it's never too late. Wherever your child is, meet them there and get the process started. Even if they're older, even if they're, 2, 3, 4 years old, don't avoid this. Get started immediately. The consistency is key. So tell them they're going to start using the potty and then follow through. Stick to the routine. It should be predictable, just like we brush our teeth when we wake up or change out of our pajamas. It's just what we do. So between every transition, they're waking up, they go to the bathroom. They're playing for a while, then they go to the bathroom. We're going to go outside, they go to the bathroom. We're coming back in, they go to the bathroom. Between every transition, or roughly for 45-minute intervals, gradually increasing. So behavior, this is important to remember, behavior is situational. So children respond to the expectations that are set at home or at school. I'm sure that you've noticed that your child behaves in a different way at school than they do at home. And they, as teachers, sometimes we run into our families out in the world, like at the shop, and we see the child acting in a way that they would never act at school, because it's all situational. So whatever we set as the expectations and we're consistent about it, this is the way their behavior will respond. Also, wearing just underwear and a top is helpful at first. Some people say, what if I just have them go without underpants and just be naked or have just a top on? I don't recommend that. First of all, their private parts are very sensitive and vulnerable, and they could get hurt not having some kind of protection around their private area. And, it's all about also personal dignity. Like we wouldn't walk around naked. So we want to make sure that they know that those parts of our body are private and we keep them covered. But there's nothing to be ashamed of about them. But we also want to keep them safe. So sometimes the child thinks they have more time than they do to get to the bathroom, and as they become more confident. So then the puddle might be larger than ever before, but that just means they're even more ready because they've been holding it. Babies urinate smaller amounts and more often, but older children have a little bit larger bladders and they're able to hold it for longer. That is another sign of readiness. So they might pee on the bathroom floor because they've underestimated the time that is needed to get there. And it's a matter of connecting that sensation to mobilizing their body to make it to the bathroom in time. We want to make sure that this is a very Montessori approach. We want to do things with them, not to them. So involving them from the start. They can take off their own wet items and place them in the laundry hamper. They can empty the potty chair insert into the toilet. They must always wash their hands afterwards. They can dress themselves in fresh clothes. We can help them just only as much as needed. Let them do as much as they know how. Help them just a little bit with what they need. If a child wets the bed into the elementary years, they can wash their own bedding. There's no shame in it. It's just what we do when we have soiled sheets. And I'll talk about this later. That was my son. He was fully toilet independent by 18 months during the day, but he still wet the bed until he was 13 years old. Don't tell him I told you that. But that's just natural, especially for boys. It can take longer. So when you're setting up the space in your bathroom, the bathroom is a place where everyone will be spending a lot of time. So make it comfortable, make it enjoyable, put art on the walls, make it fresh smelling. You want to have low chairs and stools for the child and the adult. A potty chair with a back and sides can feel secure. That might help them feel more comfortable having that little bit of like a protection around their body, but you don't need to have it. And then they can dump the insert independently, and then the adult will wash and sanitize the insert, that little part of the potty that comes out. So cotton training underpants, you see them here. They're thick, but so even when the training pants are covered with a plastic outer layer, so you could get plastic pants that go over the cotton underpants. It still allows the wetness to be felt as opposed to pull-ups, which wick the moisture away, and they're a huge obstacle to toilet learning. So you want to avoid putting underpants over the pull-ups. This is very confusing for toddlers. No, you just want to go for the cotton underpants and stick with that. So the bathroom is the place to have the potty chair. It can be tempting to have it travel around the house with the child, but no one else goes to the bathroom in the kitchen, the bedroom, or the living room. The toilet needs to be, the potty needs to be where the toilet is. So this child has his potty outside. We don't do that. You want to make it logical so it makes sense to the child. If the child is already used to having it somewhere in the house, tell them, it actually belongs in the bathroom because that's where the toilet is. And let them carry it themselves so that they're part of the process. Carry it and put it in a spot in the bathroom. You don't want to have it just disappear one day. Make sure that they are part of seeing it being moved back to the bathroom where it belongs. So besides, there will be moments when the child has to go quickly and no one knows where the potty is. And so then we're in real trouble. So you want to always know that it's going to be living in the bathroom. Moving the potty around confuses the child's sense of order. It makes it unclear where the appropriate place is for them to go. So in Israel, we're in a war. We have to be prepared for sirens. So the stress of sirens can make it we can make the stress of sirens a little bit less when you're prepared in your mamad for toileting young children. So children feel comforted when they know that they will have what they need. Let them know that they will have all that they need to still go to the bathroom, even if there's a siren. You can say, this is our shelter potty. just for when the siren goes. Remember that regression in times of stress is normal. So a children's toilet independence might take get a little bit backwards during the stressful time of sirens, but making sure that you have everything you need in the mamad, then, you have a way to clean it, you have a bucket with a lid, you have zipper bags that are waterproof that you can put the wet clothes in, you have the potty, you have extra clothes, and maybe even like a teddy bear or something that's comforting for them that just lives in the mamad that will stay with them when they are feeling stressed. That's just part of life in Israel at the moment, unfortunately. But we want to be prepared and let the children know so that it's not stressful for them. When you're choosing clothing, you want to avoid tricky snaps, buttons, or zippers, but opt for elastic waistbands. Also avoid dresses that require a lot of coordination to hold up out of the way when sitting on the potty. So this girl's dress has a lot of fabric here. It's going to be very hard for her to pull all of that out of the way when she wants to sit in the potty. So shoes that can be easily rinsed off are also helpful. So these shoes are very nice because they provide a lot of support, but they're also made of rubber so they can be washed off easily. It's better than Crocs, if you know what Crocs are. So they are kind of wobbly for children on their feet. These give them more support, especially toddlers are just getting used to walking. And then dressing themselves. We're often afraid to let children do things for themselves because they might do it wrong, such as putting on pants backwards or putting shoes on the wrong feet. But ask yourself, what is the real harm of those things? If they have their pants on backwards, that's, it's not a problem. They might feel less comfortable, right? Because the pants fit differently when they're on backwards. That will be the thing that they will start to understand, is that there is a forward way and a backward way to have your pants on. And the same thing with their shoes. If they put it on the wrong feet and they are still walking around safely, it's fine, because they will realize when they have them on the right feet that it will be more comfortable that way. And then they will have that discovery themselves. So again, we want to let the child undress, sit, wipe, flush, and wash hands. We must stay calm and neutral through the accidents. We don't want to get super excited, and we don't want to be super disappointed. This is just a natural process. So we want to trust the child, observe them with kindness, provide opportunities, not pressure. Some parents ask, should I have a potty chair or a seat insert, like what this young girl is sitting on, an insert on the potty? So it depends on the child. It depends on the size of their body. The most important thing is that they feel comfortable and not scared or stressed. So if sitting on a small potty chair is more relaxing for them, that's fine. If they get a sense of dignity from sitting on the big potty, that's also helpful too. So you just have to know your child. So we want to be mindful of, also some toilets have the automatic flush sensors, and that can be really frightening for toddlers if they're not used to it. So we actually, at my previous school, we had sensors on the potties because, the children sometimes forget to flush, and we didn't want there to be poop and pee sitting in the toilets for a long time. So we put these automatic sensors on them. That was a huge mistake because the children became so afraid that it was going to flush when they were sitting on it. It was very loud. So we ended up having to put a cover over the sensor so that they didn't flush and scare the children. And then the children would take the cover off and push the button so that it would flush. But they were in control of it. It wasn't happening spontaneously because that was very scary for them. But we want to share in the joy. There's no need to engage in rewards. Like please don't give them a cookie or a candy or treats or stickers when they go potty. This is, the accomplishment itself is the reward. Like just doing this and feeling clean and dry is the reward. So the language matters. How we talk with children really matters. So using real language for the body parts and the processes, it's a natural human process. It's not ever something we should describe as icky or stinky. There should be no shame attached to it. We just say, I see you have wet pants. We're going to go change them. Instead of, you've had an accident. An accident sounds like something bad, right? It's not bad. They just didn't make it on time. So we just point out what we notice. I see you have wet pants, and then how we're going to fix it. We're going to go change them. It's important not to ask, do you want to go to the bathroom? We don't want to ask them, but we say, now that you've gotten up from your nap, it's time to go use the potty. And then call attention to how good it feels to be clean and dry. That's the reward. That we have to normalize that feeling of being clean and dry. And that's how when children were in cloth diapers, they immediately felt when it was wet and that was uncomfortable and they got changed right away. So the normal feeling that they had was clean and dry. It was abnormal to be wet, so they changed it right away. Now with the disposable diapers, it creates like a warm, humid environment around their middle section, around their torso. And that becomes the normal feeling. Even if they haven't peed yet, their normal sweat and moisture from their body will start to make it feel humid. And that's what they feel all the time. So then they can't feel it when it's actually wet. And that's the big barrier to toilet independence, is not being able to feel the difference between wet and dry. So it's really important to make sure that they have an opportunity to feel that distinction. And the normal feeling should be clean and dry, not warm and humid. So again, we want to be neutral in our words, our emotions, our reactions. It can be really tempting to celebrate in a big way. Yay, you went potty. But if we can avoid that, it will really help them, because consider, no one cheers for you when you come out of the bathroom. That would be kind of embarrassing, right? Or it would put added pressure on the child to feel consistently successful. And they would be worried that you're going to be disappointed in them if you don't throw a big, celebration or a party or a high five every time they go to the bathroom. So there's an implication that you'll be disappointed of them if they don't go. Our attitude is the most influential factor. This is what we call in Montessori the psychological environment. How is our attitude affecting the situation? It influences the child. So again, we want to keep it perfectly normal, no rewards, certainly no punishments if they don't go on the potty. We want to make it relaxing and pleasant. Never force, bully, or manipulate them. Remember, we can't rush children to learn how to walk or talk. We can hinder it, right? We talked about that by giving them iPads all the time and, putting them in containers where they don't have, freedom to move. That's hindering it, but it will happen. But we will essentially prevent toilet independence from happening by not encouraging the opportunity and giving them access. Toilet learning is a milestone analogous to moving from liquids to only to purees and solid foods. So if a child does not care for the solid foods at first, would we just allow them to stay bottle feeding forever? Of course not. We would keep trying and we would keep offering. It's the same thing with toilet independence. They might not, understand it right away. They might not get it right away. They might not even like it right away, but we have to keep trying and keep offering. They have to know that part is not going to change no matter what. They'll always say, it's time to use the bathroom. It's time to use the bathroom, and then go to the bathroom. So consider this. Humans are the only species on Earth that allow our offspring to sit in their own urine and feces, right? Other species instinctually clean off their offspring immediately so as to not attract predators or allow infections or diseases. We must also clean them immediately so that we can normalize the feeling of being clean and dry. I think that was a really fascinating insight when I read about that, or when I heard about that. We really are the only species on Earth that allow our children to carry around their feces with them. Let's actually get away from that and normalize the feeling of being clean and dry. So a last sort of rundown of the idea of disposable diapers and the significant disadvantages, although they are convenient. Number one is that the child never feels wet, but a warm human environment is omnipresent. It's always there, making the child less aware of what is going on in their diaper area. Diaper rashes are more common with disposable diapers because it is not as quickly noticeable when a child is wet. Most cultures incorporate toilet learning right from the beginning. There's very few countries that tend to keep their children in diapers or pull-ups into the preschool years. The United States is guilty of that. I think Israel also as well, Europe. But this is unusual for most of the rest of the world. The diaper companies are profiting big time. They're making so much money off of keeping children in diapers and pull-ups for a long time. You will save a lot of money by toilet learning by the ages of 16 to 18 months. And then consider the ecological ramifications. The archaeologists will be digging up these diapers hundreds of years from now, right? What will that say about our civilization and what our priorities were during this age of the 2000s? So before I play this video, hold on. Pause it for a moment. So I want to help everyone understand that toddlers take time to do things. And it's really hard for us because adults are, we're very fast paced. We always want to go, go, go. We know the quicker ways to do things. But it can almost be painful for adults to give the toddlers the time they might need for them to accomplish their goals. But we must. We really, really must. So I'm going to tell you, this video is just about 2.5 minutes long. That might feel like a really long time to us, but the child is working. That is the child's work. This child is working really hard to get their shoe on. They're not screaming or crying or even asking anybody for help. They need this time to be able to process. And so when we're thinking about all the things about independence with toddlers, toileting is one for sure, putting on their clothes, eating their food, all of those things, we have to give them the time. So that can be tricky for us, but I want you to see this video, and it's 2.5 minutes long. So let's go. So, that video I just love because it really illustrates how it can be so hard for adults to give children the time to do that. We want to tell them, give them advice. We want to say, good job. We want to encourage them. We want to do it for them. We want to do all these things. We have to refrain from that. We have to restrain ourselves and allow the child to do their work. And that's what this was. This was in one of the schools here in Minnesota, and I told the teachers that this is a perfect video to send home. This was the biggest accomplishment of this child in this whole day. This was huge. He was trying all these different things till he finally got it. And so it's really, really important that we give toddlers the time to do all the things that we take for granted. That should only take us about 2 seconds. It might take them longer, but the smile that he had at the end was really, really worth it, and his sense of accomplishment. So we don't need to give them a sticker or a candy or, their iPad. We just let them do their work. It's really hard for adults, but we have to try. Okay, a few things to consider at the end here is that toilet learning is one of the most confusing parts of parenting. So there might be mixed messages coming from family, from our own experiences, from other caregivers, from society. But remember that we hold children back from natural development by waiting. And then we often fall back on old tricks like rewards. That's how we know we've waited too long. But again, wherever your child is, just start right there. Don't think, oh, I've waited too long. It's too late. No, you have to always start wherever you are, and be sure not to let our own phobias about handling soiled items become visible to them. We don't want to be like, ew, ooh, icky. Like, we don't want to have any of that. That'll make them feel self-conscious about their own body and the process, and it can really put them off of it. Nighttime can be the most difficult. Very little can be done about that. I've tried it all. Like I said, my son had wet the bed until he was 13. So I tried waking him up around 10:30 and carrying him to the bathroom. And, really it just became dangerous because my child is huge. And, I thought one of us is going to fall down and bump our heads on this toilet and it won't be worth it. And then the disrupted sleep wasn't worth it either. But he was just such a heavy sleeper. So very little can be done about that. I tried it all. I had plastic cover on the mattress. We washed his sheets all the time. But daytime is a totally different story. That we can do 16 to 18 months. And then supporting toileting at school. So please send lots of cotton underwear, extra clothes, and a wet bag. Trust the process and follow through at home. Remember that life at school and life at home are different, but the more we can have them aligned on especially toilet learning, that is going to make the process easier for the child. We will really help the child by having the expectations be the same at home and at school. But if they're not, that's okay. We're still going to do it at school because this is part of the Montessori curriculum. And, a lot of parents appreciate us doing the heavy lifting for them, but it'll be a lot easier if the parents at home are doing the same thing. Read books at home about it. Allow them to see that this is just what we do. Again, allow them to see you using the bathroom as well. And toileting for neurodivergent children. So some children have different developmental delays or learning barriers, but we want to honor the child's readiness. It's not solely based on their age. It's really their readiness. Respect their autonomy and their dignity. So avoid shaming or pressuring them. Frame it as a new skill to learn, not a test of compliance, not a test of how well they can behave, right? We'll use communication that works for them. It could be spoken words, it could be sign language, it could be visuals. Accommodate sensory needs. So sometimes bathrooms can be too loud, too bright, or smell too strongly. This can overwhelm some children with neurodivergence. So keep those things in mind. What could be helpful is to create a graphic, first this, then this. This graphic here literally has the step-by-step pictures. Again, you don't need all of this unless your child really needs it, unless you've noticed that they have really a hard time processing what comes first, second, third, right? So we want to build awareness of your body, create predictable routine. That's going to be the most important thing, is to have the predictable routine. Honor and support communication, make the bathroom a comfortable place, and encourage them without pressure. And if you need to, you can use visual supports like this. And that's it. So thank you so much. This is my son Nico when he was the age of the toddlers, learning toilet independence. This is on the North Shore of Lake Superior, where I grew up here in North America. And I thank you so much for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have right now. If anybody wants to unmute or put anything in the chat, I hope that was helpful and useful for you parenting young children.
I have one.
Tanya.
Um, I've seen a lot of pictures in the presentation when the kid is sitting on a potty with a book.
Mm-hmm.
Is that actually fine? Isn't that confusing?
No, I think it's actually fine. I wouldn't let them sit there all day because it's actually not good for their body to be like in that sort of open way like that. But I think that, just like some adults read a newspaper when they're sitting on the toilet or a magazine, right? I think that's fine. It wouldn't be good for them physically to sit in that position for a long, long time. But sometimes that's just what they need for to feel comfortable and sort of let their body relax and let nature happen. That's a good question. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Let's see. 9 months, and she's putting on the potty every morning for a couple. Nope, there's no such thing as too early. There's no such thing as too early. And there's really no such thing as too late, but early is going to be helpful for the child and for yourself. She even pooped and peed twice already. That's wonderful. That's great. And some cultures, when I was traveling in India for many months, this is just part the children are just, the toilet independence is happening immediately, even when they're babies. They are, they get to know the rhythms of their child and they're able to hold the child over a bowl or something like that from infancy, from very, very young. I saw a lot of mothers doing that with their babies. We are not typically many parents are working or we have busy schedules. We're not able to be like that. But if you can, that's fantastic. So, yeah, there's no such thing as too early.
Hi. What about long journey, like more than 1 hour, like by car or by train? We're still using diapers, but when it's possible not to use them, what the science of how to understand that the child, the toddler, are ready to be without, at all.
Yep, I totally understand. So if you are going on a long car journey or in the train, if you're in the train, most trains have a toilet on them, if you can. So I would try to keep the consistency, try to take them to the bathroom, even on the train. If you have a bathroom on the train. And if you're going in a car ride, then, plan ahead where you can stop and give them the chance, make sure they go right before you leave and right when you get to your destination. But if you can, there's those yellow gas stations everywhere in Israel, right? Like there are lots of places to stop and use the bathroom. So just because the like adults can hold it for a lot longer, we need to build in time to our journeys so we can allow the children to use the bathroom just the same frequency that they are used to at home, if possible.
So it's okay to have a potty on car and just to put them, I don't know, every 1 hour, for example.
Yeah, if you want to bring the potty chair with you, because but don't have them do it in the car, right? You want to stop and
Mhm.
go to a bathroom in a gas station or convenience store, and you can bring the potty and if they, because the potty in those gas stations sometimes is like, it's too big,
Yeah,
it's yucky, right? So if you bring your little potty and you bring your spray bottle and the wipes, then you can sanitize it before you get back in the car. But that's the great thing about those little potties, you can take them with you.
yeah. And we have a potty at home that our toddler likes and use, and we're happy about it. But we bought another one, like a movable one, like a holding one, and tried to do it, I don't know, on park or somewhere outside, and she didn't understand. She likes to sit on it, but she never did anything on it. So I don't know. Probably she used to have her own potty at home, and she don't agree, doesn't agree to go to another one. I don't know, to other different place on a different potty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's understandable, right? We were talking about that, how the consistency and the routine and the same place and always having the potty in the bathroom, right? Because they need to know that's where we go. If we have the potty with us at the park and we have them just go outside sitting on the potty, that they feel very exposed, right? Very vulnerable. I mean, we would never sit on a potty just in the middle of the park. So we want to bring them to, right? So so we want to find the toilet at the park, and you can bring your little potty in there. Or if you want to bring like the insert that goes on top of the like big potty toilet, you can bring that with you, whatever makes her feel more comfortable, but always doing it in the bathroom, never out in the world someplace else. It's very confusing for them.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. Any other questions?
Actually, my daughter is sitting on a potty with a book, and we have some books in the bathroom in the
Yep.
special place, and they're her toilet books, and
Yep.
she actually likes it. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. These are all the little tools that we can use to help the experience, because children are very multisensory, right? So they're seeing it, they're feeling it, they're smelling it, they're experiencing it. All the ways will really, really help them make the connection between what their body feels like before they go and after they go. And that the toilet is where we do that. So when their body starts to feel that sensation, then they need to go to the bathroom. And it's
And another question from your experience, how long it could be take if you start, for example, at 12 months old, and then she's now 16 months old, and I can see the big progress, but I just curious how long it could take. I know it's different with different child. It's no, I don't know, some pretty much. Special time, but still, from your experience, what the middle of time to go without any diapers?
Yeah, I think it's probably any day now. If she started at 12 months and she's, 16 months now, in the next 2 months, I would imagine it's completely taken care of. Not at night or maybe even nap time. That could be different. It could be easy, but that really, really depends on the child. Like my child, I said he was such a heavy sleeper. I could turn all the lights, I could vacuum, and nothing would wake him up. Nothing. So so sleeping was different. But you're absolutely right that it's different for every child. But the only thing that we can control is our part of it, which is the consistency, the expectation, the calm, neutral voice, our attitude. That's the only thing that we can really control. And so we have to set those expectations and stick to it, no matter what the situation is, if we can help it, which is why I put the slides in there about the sirens, right? Because we know that's a reality in Israel, and it would be natural for children to be delayed because of the stress of everything. So anything we can do to make it more comfortable for the child and keep the consistency even through the stressful times of war. So unfortunately, we have to think about that.
Yeah.
But God willing,
Okay,
it will
thank
be
you.
over
It
soon.
was a great presentation. I
Thank you.
I learned couple of things that I didn't know before. For example, that we should put the diapers by standby and not to lay them down,
Yeah,
because at home we still have some diapers with with the stickers, and sometimes we lay her down and she doesn't like it. So
right. Yeah, exactly. And when you're changing them, if you need to wipe their bottom, if they had a poop, then you can say to them, bend over and touch your toes, and then you can wipe them when they're standing up. By the time they're standing, you don't want to lay them down like a baby anymore. They will,
Yeah,
most children will like push against that. They won't like that, right?
yeah.
So you can just say, oh, lean over, touch your toes, and then wipe their bottom. Yep.
Actually, Tanya learned us, teach us to do it, and now
Yeah,
it's
she's a great
much more
teacher.
easier.
That's so
Then
good.
lay her down. She doesn't want, all this process. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Can I ask one more question, please?
Yes, please.
So we have this kid in a group that uses potty brilliant for urinating, but for poop, he doesn't want to. And he's hiding somewhere, he's sitting in a corner, or after the nap time, we see that his pants are already, yes. And what can we do I feel that he's a bit frustrated with this process, like it's frightening him. And is there something we can do all together with the parents and other teachers to help him?
Yeah, that's a really common issue that happens quite a lot. Sometimes children are afraid in the toilet that because the splash when it falls down can like splash their tushy and they don't feel comfortable with that. So they get, and it's just a different feeling. It can be scary for children, right? So it's really just comforting them and consistency, and there's really no shortcut to that, but just keeping the same method no matter what, and remembering that it feels really comfortable, and showing them those books. Everyone Poops, like all of those books are really, really helpful for them to understand. This is just part of being a living creature, right? All living creatures, all of the animals on the earth poop. And so, but really it just will sometimes take time, and they can feel like more shy, embarrassed, like it smells more. There's a lot of things that happen with poop that's different. And so we just have to keep consistent with it. It's a good question.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're afraid to go in the toilet with the water in it, then maybe the potty chair is better. It just depends, because once a child is taller, that can also be uncomfortable to sit in the low little potty, right? Because then their knees are up high. So it's all these different things to think about, whatever works best for that child. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank
I,
you. Thank you
I
so much.
have to go. Bye, girl. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Jessica.
Bye bye, Lila Tov.
Bye, bye. Bye, bye.
Okay.
So I guess no more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will have, could you please send us the recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you very much. It was really interesting, and we had a lot of new information. We will talk about that tomorrow. And thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you in January.
Thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you.